Garnacho has said yes to joining Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea Football Club have put in their bid, and it's been confirmed if the bid reaches £60 million, it will be a done deal. And as a Manchester United fan, I'm going to tell you, Chelsea fans, why Garnacho is a good signing for you, and why I'll be furious if Manchester United let Garnacho go to Chelsea, unless Chelsea pay big money and we make them break the bank, because we pay 55 million for Mason Mount with 1 year left on his contract. This team got 65 million for Havertz. In a world where Dibbling, after half a good season, this breakout season is 55 million despite Southampton's destined relegation, and Duran is now 85 million despite being 40 million last year, then I think 60 million is a good price tag for Alejandro Garnacho. I think for Napoli, I'd let him go to Napoli for £60 million because I think Matheus Cunha is way more suited to Amorim's system than Garnacho. But if Chelsea are coming in, I'd ask for £75 million. Should Chelsea spend £75 million on Garnacho? Absolutely not. Chelsea do not need to spend big on another winger. Chelsea need a goalkeeper. Chelsea need a right centre-back. But if they get Garnacho for something like £55 million, that is a good deal, and that is a disgrace from Manchester United to sell him to Chelsea. Now, Chelsea fans, I want you to hear me out, because I see a lot of Chelsea fans being negative about the signing of Garnacho. I see some Man United fans celebrating that we could get 50 million for Garnacho and Chelsea are going to take him after what happened with Mount. If Mount wasn't injured, I'm thinking he'd be a great signing for United, to be honest. But I'm going to talk to you about Garnacho, because Garnacho is a good player. Garnacho is a prospect. He is raw. He's recently turned 20 years of age, and no player in the last year and a half, aged 21 or under, has more goal contributions than Alejandro Garnacho. Now, since Ten Hag's left, Garnacho has been out of form. He's dropped off, and because of his drop-off, there is a recency bias. People now talk about Garnacho as if he's a bad player, forgetting how electric he was last season, or even the first couple of games of this season, how impactful he's been against sides like Liverpool, Manchester City. Garnacho is potential. He's not finished now. He's not the complete article, but he's a player with top-level potential. And he outplayed Sancho at Manchester United, who is Chelsea's best winger. And he will be a good signing for Chelsea. So, Chelsea fans, I'm going to get into the news. I'm going to talk about this story. And I want you to hear me out, because I see a lot of negativity from Chelsea fans about Garnacho. But I tell you what, he was very good tonight versus Rangers. The whole fan base is trying to convince the world Garnacho's crap on Twitter because of recency bias. But last season, we were all hyping him up after the FA Cup final, because on Twitter, there's this 2-month spell. If they're bad for 2 months, they're rubbish. I'm a Man United fan. And I think that Alejandro Garnacho, if he went to Chelsea, would be a very good player, because you know what? He's a 4-3-3 kind of player. He's more suited to Maresca's system than Amorim. And if we sack Amorim, we will regret selling Garnacho if we go back to a manager that plays a 4-3-3. I will tell you this now. So let's talk about this, because Chelsea is set to make a bid. 60 million will get the deal done. Chelsea will mug us off and probably get him for 50 million, which for a 20-year-old prospect with world-class potential would be an unbelievable deal when you look at the market, because Garnacho is on 50k a week. Also, Garnacho has been better than Nico Williams this season. I watched Athletic Bilbao. I've watched Nico Williams. He's not been better than Garnacho this season. He was great last season. He had a good Euros. But Nico Williams is Garnacho with good PR. I will tell you that for a fact. And that might be an unpopular opinion. And Amorim said he doesn't know what's happening with Garnacho's future. Now, Garnacho played versus Rangers today, very electric. I think he should have scored a goal. He hit the post. Very electric. But I think he's going to go. Let's talk about Garnacho. 13 involvements in 18 versions of full 90. 8 goals and 5 assists this season. Not been his best season, but the output is there. The danger is there. So let's talk about Garnacho to Chelsea, because there's a lot of negativity from Chelsea fans. And I don't think you need to spend 60 million on Garnacho. I get it. £60 million. Do you need another young winger? Probably not. Goalkeeper. Centre-back. But Neto is good on the right, but not convincing on the left. Madueke, incredibly inconsistent. And Sancho's probably your best winger, but he can be passive. Mudrik's out. Garnacho can play on the left. Garnacho can play on the right. And at Manchester United, when Sancho got opportunities, Garnacho ended up taking over him because Garnacho was the better player for us. Look how much better Sancho is at Chelsea in a more stable environment. Garnacho will go to Chelsea. He suits the system better. Now, do Chelsea need to spend 60 million on a winger? No. I think Chelsea spending 60 million on Garnacho, I think they're, it's a good deal. I think, for me, I'm more angry from Man United, because I don't want him to go to a rival, become a world-class player, and say we've given him away for 60 million because we need to spend more money because we sacked another manager. We need to bring in players that suit Amorim's system. Garnacho's a good player. And recency bias is clouding people's judgment of Garnacho. He's not the finished article. I'm going to tell you the negatives about Garnacho at the end of this video, but he is a good player and he would be a good signing for Chelsea. Should they spend 60 plus million on him? It's a bit pricey. It's a bit pricey, I will tell you that. But I wouldn't accept any less than 60 million for Garnacho because you've got to look at the value in the market and the fact that Rashford's not in the squad and we're trying to get him out. The fact that Anthony's gone to Real Betis. United aren't in a position to sell another winger. He was electric last season. He's got the most goals in the system of any player aged 21 or under since the start of last season. He was better than Sancho for United. He's raw, but his potential is top notch. And the only reason I'm considering selling Garnacho is Amarim comes in, he plays with 2 10s. Garnacho's a 4-3-3 winger. He could be moulded, he could be adapted to Amarim's system, but he's not been great since Ten Hag left because of the new systems, because of this and because of that. And I think because he doesn't suit the system, he's in an unstable environment. And Man United do this thing where the academy player comes through, we overhype them, we build them up because they do really well and they impress in their first season when the first team players are bad. And then the minute they have 3 or 4 bad games, fans start writing them off. They've done it with Maino as well. Maino's a good player. Garnacho's a good player. There's a recency bias. You sometimes see it. I mean, I remember Cole Palmer had 2 bad games in a row and people started trying to call him a flop. It's ridiculous online. He's not had a great season. But the player was there tonight. There's glimpses of him. And I think fans are so unfair on him. And as a Man United fan, I said I want to give Garnacho to the summer. I want to give him more time in Amarim's system and then maybe sell him in the summer. Because then there's more options to get replacements in. If we sell Garnacho and replace him with Cunha, I'm okay with that. But 60 million is the bottom line. I think if you're Chelsea, you don't want to spend more than 50 million on this. And that's fair enough. But you've got to look at it. Dibbling, 55 million. Duran, 85 million. Chelsea don't need to spend more than 50 million on a winger, but United have every right to ask for 60 million. When you look at Mount being 55 million, Havertz being 65 million, Garnacho's 20, he's only on 50k a week. Garnacho this season's been better than Nico Williams. Nico Williams, he plays for, he's good Euros. He's got this hype. He's got this Twitter PR. Twitter PR clouds so many people's judgments of players. It really does. Or recency bias. I watched Athletic Bilbao versus Besiktas. Williams did nothing. If Garnacho put in that performance, United fans would be screaming his head off. But the United fans that want Garnacho gone want Nico Williams to replace him. I'm just telling you that as a fact. And out of the Chelsea players, he compares most to Madueke. And the reason I would compare him most to Madueke is he's frustrating. Now, he can play on the left, he can play on the right. I actually thought he was better on the right at United because it forced him to pass more. But he's selfish at times. He's raw. He's inconsistent. Sometimes in the final third, he's wasteful. He gets into really good, dangerous positions. I think the runs in behind he makes, Palmer would thrive off that. Sometimes he's wasteful. Sometimes he doesn't finish his chances. And when you've got Madueke and when you've got Nicholas Jackson not finishing your chances, you do look at that and say, do you want to take the risk? But this is a 20-year-old guy that's definitely a confidence player. If he got his confidence back at Chelsea, I think he would start finishing his chances. He's only going to get better. And when you talk about the potential of Garnacho, it's up there. I'm talking Puskas winner. I'm talking a guy that came in a Man United side that's direct, that can go inside to out, that has one of the best ball carrying statistics there. I'm talking about a guy that likes to get away from his defenders, has that electricity in him. Sancho can be too passive at times. Sancho's been your best winger, but he's been too passive at times. Garnacho would be a good signing for Chelsea. He can be effective on both sides. Him and Palmer would work well together. Again, I don't think Chelsea need to spend more than 50 million on a winger. Elise was there for 50 million last summer. Of course, much better player than Garnacho. He's not the finished product. But right now, he plays over Neto and he plays over Madueke, probably for Chelsea, and he probably works quite well under Maresca. Gittins is out there. People talk about Nico Williams being the same price, but on 4 times more wages. I can understand why they would go for Garnacho. There was a lot of negativity when Chelsea spent 40 million on Cole Palmer, and look how it worked out. Because Garnacho is not this bad player that I think football Twitter's trying to make him out to be, because I'm a Man United fan, and he's frustrated me this season. And he's raw, and his decision-making could improve. Knowing when to pass, knowing when to carry. There's elements of Madueke, a bit of selfishness. I think mentality, he gets affected by hate. The minute he got a bit of hate, his performances have dropped off. He's had to delete social media. But he's got that flair. He plays for Argentina. Like he's 20. 20. Do you know what I mean? When Palmer was 20, he hadn't scored a Premier League goal. Again, not saying that Garnacho is better than Palmer. Absolutely not. But that's my point. Now, what is the news? Because I haven't really spoke about the news. Chelsea have a free one at Garnacho and a bid of 60 million, including add-ons, to get a deal done. Do Chelsea need to spend 60 million on Garnacho? No, but that's an opportunity. It's a risk because Chelsea could spend 60 million on Garnacho and he becomes a 100 million player, which, knowing our luck, he probably will. You got Sancho for 25 million. I look at Sancho now. I think Chelsea would pay 40 million for Sancho in the summer. Do you know what I mean? You mug us off. You always mug us off. Chelsea have submitted a bid, and Manchester United insists 60 million fee. Chelsea pays 60 million, it's a done deal. 60 million bid, and it's a done deal. 60 million bid, and it's a done deal. I, for me, would let them go to Napoli for 60 million, and you won't like me for saying this, Chelsea fans, but I would want Chelsea to pay 75 million. Should Chelsea pay 75 million? No. That would be them massively overpaying. But as a Man United fan, I would want to ask Chelsea for 75 million. You made us pay 55 million for Mason Mount with 1 year left on the deal. I would make them. I would ask them to do that. They won't pay that because it would be silly. But that's what I'd want when you look at the market, when you look at the prices, when you look at everything. I would. Is Garnacho a good market opportunity? Yes. Are there better wingers than Garnacho out there? Yes. Kvaratskhelia would have been a better option for Chelsea for sure. Nico Williams is having a very average season. I'm not convinced he's better than Garnacho yet. And that might be unpopular, but I watched Athletic Bilbao. I've watched them. Okay. Gittins is a good option, but again, he's similarities to Garnacho being raw. Of course, there's better left-wing options out there. There's better wing options out there. But who can they sign right now? Mudryk out. Garnacho is one of the best options. He is one of the best options that they can sign. Statistically, the best young attacker by output, has big club experience, loves to drive forward, and is more aggressive style compared to Sanchez, which Maresca may like when you've got Cole Palmer feeding in those dangerous balls. And I think he could bench Madueke. I do. He's averaging 0.6 XG per 90 across all competitions this season, and this is his worst season at United. At 20 years of age, he scored 23 goals and assisted 13 for United, won the FA Cup, League Cup and Copa America, scoring in finals, won the Puskas Award. 26 goal contributions at that age, that's more than Ronaldo. And Ronaldo's first 2 or 3 seasons at United, he was frustrating. Fans got on it. Sorry if I lagged out there, my Wi-Fi just crashed, so I'm hoping the audio and visual quality is alright. I'm not comparing Garnacho to Ronaldo, but what I'm saying is, he's a prospect. Can we not judge players at age 20 because they have a few poor months in an unsustainable system when at age 19 they showed all this glimpse of talent and how fantastic they could be? They're frustrating. Decision making could improve. But Ronaldo used to get loads of stick. This wasn't the day of Twitter where I think players just get written off after 2 games and it's completely different. But Ronaldo was very similar to Garnacho at that age. And I'm not saying that Garnacho is going to end up being as good as Ronaldo. That's a ridiculous thing to say. But I'm just saying it's so difficult to judge a player at age 20 of a few bad months in a completely different system under a completely different manager. When anyone that's watched Garnacho knows there's a player there. Chelsea scouts have got a lot right. You looked at Samu and you looked at John Duran, who are 2 players that have almost doubled their value in the summer. Chelsea scouts are very clever. And they're looking at Garnacho for a reason. If Chelsea scouts think Garnacho's a good signing, if I'm a Chelsea fan, I trust your scouts. I think they actually got, weirdly, a lot of their recruitment right. They've got bits wrong. But if you're talking this summer, the players that you almost signed, Samu, John Duran, they were doing something there. They were. And Chelsea fans want them now, and they didn't want them in the summer. Chelsea fans didn't want Palmer a year ago. They didn't want Duran. They didn't want Samu. They want them now. So Chelsea fans would be like, oh, don't get Garnacho. But let's say he gets good again for United. You want him. You want him. Anyway, 0.52 goals and assists per 90 across his first 3 seasons at United is a better rate than Ronaldo. Just letting you know, there's negatives. Can be selfish. His decision making isn't always the best. The things that Madueke get criticised for, so does Garnacho. This is normal for young players, but it's about learning when to pass and when to carry. It's normal for young players. I think Maresca would coach him well. His movement is good. What Garnacho does so well is he gets in those dangerous areas behind. And it's frustrating sometimes because he does miss opportunities. But he makes those runs. He gets into those dangerous positions, and Palmer would find them really well. He's not as clinical as a Marcus Rashford, but he could become more clinical. He's raw. He gets in those dangerous areas. He has that flair. He can go from outside to in. He's direct. And that would work in Maresca's system. He's a confidence player, though. If Chelsea fans got behind him and made a lot of noise about him, and he started, maybe let's say, first 4 games for Chelsea, he gets 5 goals, you got the Garnacho. You've got the Garnacho. He's a confidence player. Now, according to Matt Law, Chelsea are readying their bid for Garnacho. He prefers a move to Chelsea over Napoli. I'd much rather see him at Napoli. I also think he's more likely to start. But actually, I think right now, Neto and Madueke haven't been super impressive. Do you know what's mad is Chelsea could have Garnacho and Sancho as their wingers, who are our wingers, and they'll probably play 10 times better at Chelsea than they did at United. And Garnacho was good last season, by the way. Do you know what I mean? But it looks like he's set to move to Chelsea. Chelsea, if they make a 60 million bid, it's a done deal. It's been confirmed, 60 million deal. It's been confirmed, it's a 60 million deal. Knowing Man United will cave and let Chelsea get him for 50 million. And I think he'll be good at Chelsea. I think he will be good at Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea need to spend 60 million on Garnacho. But I think he will be good at Chelsea. I will say that for a fact. I think it's a smart move. Is he worth 50 million? Is he 100% what Chelsea need? Goalkeeper, right centre-back. Maybe you look at someone like John Duran. But with Mudryk out, I think it's a good deal. I just think with Esteval, Tyreek George, that's the only question.